So how have you been, Zev?
I have been good. I have been focusing on school, focusing on trying to make an impact, and honestly, life's pretty great right now.
What's your major?
So my undergraduate is in international politics, and my graduate is in data science. I'm doing
Right.
like a 5-year program.
Nice. To ultimately go into politics or be behind the
Uh,
scenes in politics?
maybe work behind the scenes. I think I've told you this before, where anyone who wants to go into politics at my age shouldn't go into politics.
That's funny. I just wanted to a couple of things, we talk, of course, about the upcoming election cycle we're going into. But it kind of struck me this past week about your concern about anti-Semitism and airing your grievances about that. And I just wanted to talk about that
Yeah, of
because
course.
I can relate. You know what I mean?
It's just been bad the past few weeks at a scale I haven't seen in a while. Like,
At
oh,
you directly, specifically, in addition to you and other things you're saying, what are you saying?
I I think in addition to me, because I've always gotten stuff, but I've been able to kind of counteract it. I understand I make a lot of Jewish centered humor on the platform that, like, if goys made it, probably wouldn't be okay.
Right.
But I talk to a lot of my friends who are Jewish, and they're getting restless with the amount of hate that people are getting now.
I am curious because I don't get that much. I've gotten a couple of direct messages like to my email where they're like, I'm going to kill you, blah, 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 and I'm like, but I automatically turn it over to the FBI and to the local police department. But yeah, I'm so used to it since childhood that
That's fair.
I don't, it, I have such a thick skin to it because since I'm 5 hearing it. Didn't you not experience that growing up? Is this more or less you've seen it more so now as you're an adult?
I definitely experienced it growing up. Like, I remember vividly the local Jewish community center. We couldn't go for a few weeks because of a bomb threat,
Wow. Where are you
and I
from?
think Indiana, uh,
India or Indiana?
Indiana.
Oh, I was gonna say.
uh, but it was a series across the United States, and I think I was too young to really understand it.
Mm,
But I'll never forget, like, the first time I really truly understood it was probably my freshman year of college, when my home synagogue got vandalized with swastikas all over the place. And that I'd always like read about anti-Semitism, had always seen it, and that was the first time it was direct.
how many generations American are you? Like your parents were American, were their parents American too?
Uh, so my grandparents and great grandparents kind of immigrated here, but that also plays into it. My One of my favorite stories to tell is my grandfather and his brother applied to the University of Michigan under the names uh, Burbitsky, which is a very Russian Jewish name, and they didn't get in. And then they changed their last name on the application, kept everything the same. And my grandfather got into law school and his brother got into medical school. So they immediately changed their name to what is now Burton.
Which is why I didn't think you were Jewish until you
Yeah.
started talking about it. But it's funny because I was like, Jewish Burton, whatever, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, there's no doubt that the ratcheted up anti-Semitism, racism, it's all, we know where it comes from, we know where it stems from, we know why it's ratcheted up. The thing is, what are we going to do about it? And I believe not only vote till like there's no tomorrow, whatever, like pipe dreams. I think the organizations like the JDL need to get back into action. The Jewish Defense League was very violent and they were considered terrorists, and so they should, what, the white supremacists should be the only terrorist organization in America? You know what I mean? I really feel strongly about it. I just saw, that murder that court case with Arbery, where they got life sentence plus whatever. And there was a press conference with the new Black Panthers.
Really?
Yeah, so they're coming back, and it's, even though some of it stands for anti-Semitism, whatever. But if it's kind of good Black Panthers, you know what I mean? Between the women's movement, Black Panthers, Jewish Defense League, gay liberation. I mean, if everyone realizes that we are on the being attacked, well, we have to attack back. We can't just talk about policy and, healthcare and, dental for old people. I mean, that's great, but that doesn't win battles in the streets and violence. I don't know. It's weird.
Agree. And I think we had a really big step in the Jewish community because we finally got an ambassador to combat anti-Semitism with Deborah Lipstadt.
Oh, right. See, it's not enough. It went, how's that
not
going?
Enough. It's not enough for sure.
What is it, a job? What is her job? Do we know?
I think her job is just combating anti-Semitism. I haven't seen much news about it.
Right.
But it's also just hard to do because a lot like racism or sexism or homophobia, transphobia, it's baked into the system a lot. And it's hard for one person, even in a position of power, even if it might be just symbolic power at this point, you can't do much. What can you say? Come out and say, I disagree with people who want Jews dead.
No. Yeah, look, there's always going to be anti-Semitism. There's always going to be racism. As much as TikTok is such an awesome platform to kind of bring, the spotlight onto the issues, it's for sure, it's so much better than Twitter or Facebook. There's so much kind of, there's just such a much more emotional, caring, and healing vibe about TikTok that, just, I don't know, for me, yeah, I think you have to go with another violent group. I just think it's kind of be guns blazing, scare the shit out of them, and they're not afraid of anything. You know what I mean? And we're afraid of everything.
Yeah, I love TikTok just because you can have those connections. We met on TikTok, but also where I was growing up, there weren't a ton of Jews. When I left to go,
I was going to say Indiana. What were you even doing there?
When I left to go to DC for college, the Indiana population Jews dropped by 20%. And the rest are just my parents and sisters. But we used to have organizations about bringing Jewish youth together. It was called the B'nai B'rith Youth Organization. My sisters are very
Young Judea, they had in where I was from.
And TikTok, I have more friends now who are Jewish than ever before.
Right, that's wild.
And we still get to play what's called Jewish geography, where you go onto Instagram and you see if you have any mutuals. And you always do.
My sister, I always used to say, she's she could go to Parker Brothers and take and tell it, I'm going to do Jewish monopoly because everyone she knows is
Yeah.
in real estate. So hilarious. She knows literally. I mean, there isn't a Feinstein that woman doesn't know. She is 6 degrees of every Jew on earth. It's hilarious.
That's what we've got to do. Like throughout all of our history, we have been expelled, torn apart, kicked out of some place, kicked out of another place, made slaves. We finally got out. We had to move a sea to get out. And we had to foster that kind of community where you see another Jew and it's automatically, okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Like,
just a little question. What do you think the parting of the sea actually was? Low tide?
I want to believe it was an actual parting of the sea. I also think it could have been a sand dune, low tide. It was really just a pond, and over time, like
hilarious. I love all the fables about the Bible, both New Testament and Old. You know, it is in my classes that we took, the Young Judea things. The guy who taught us was very liberal, and he was just saying, okay, the Bible is like no different than any one of the bedtime stories your parents are telling you. It is actually more like Grimm's, Brothers Grimm, you know what I mean?
The originals, not the Disney version.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt that, the anti-Semitism and the increased racism and what's going on. The Blacks and the Jews are forever on the same end of white supremacy, yet I feel like we still need a stronger connection between our two communities. I think that's an ongoing thing, but, I don't know how that's ever going to manifest. But I just think what we can do this year is put aside our differences in terms of whether it's our color of our skin, our sexual orientation, our gender, and get together and vote. Like, again, we have to all we can do is try to control the vote. That's the only thing we can do. I'm not optimistic about our government getting us voting rights. So I think it's just that much harder for us this year.
Yeah, I think with the midterms, it's just going to make everything more difficult. Biden is headed down to Georgia tomorrow to discuss voting rights legislation. And then Schumer said he's going to introduce something, but it's going to get filibustered, easily.
Yeah, I mean, Biden has to find whatever law loophole thing, as much as the country and those Republican pieces of garbage are going to be angry at whatever he does, he needs to pull, whatever we did to get, the health insurance thing with Obama, yeah. whatever he managed to piss everybody off, he has to do this about voting rights. I don't even want to hear about Build Back Better until we get voting rights.
Agreed. And I remember seeing something where against the senators who are it has to be bipartisan, it has to work like that. And it traced voting rights legislation, giving the African American community the ability to vote, party line vote. I don't understand where this need for bipartisanship came in and how it ended up being more important than the values you hold.
I think theoretically it comes from the way the Constitution is set up, or the way our government was set up, so that in theory we would be able to get that. But as long as it's only a two-party system and we are at the point where we're so ratcheted up and divisive, then until we get a third party that's active, we're just going to be in this kind of bad game of tennis. I don't know. It's bad.
And even then, we talk about in political theory classes, why are there only two parties? That's a big question. And it's because of our voting system. Because we've got the first past the post voting, no third party really ever stands a chance. So all they can hope to do is sway one of the two major parties. And I think third parties or alternative groups, I'll say, have swayed the left and the right, further left and further right.
Yeah, like what's his name? The little guy that had all the numbers. What was his name? The little
Oh,
weird guy. What was his name? Like, but he was a spoiler. There was no
yeah.
question. The thing is, it's unfortunate that these never Trumpers, from the minute they said no to Trump in 2016 and beginning 2017, didn't automatically, rather than just talk a democratic game, become independents and build up that party so that we would have been able to consider next election, because there's a fractured Democratic Party and there's the most tightly wound up tight bunch of, they never deflect from one message, that party.
Never. We were so, like, it almost felt like they were going to a year ago with the January 6th insurrection. And I think I was more optimistic than I think you were, or most people were.
Never thought for a second I mean, they're evil. When evil is given a platform, it's their version of power. And that's why once people get bit with power, it's very hard to get them off. It's like a tit, you know what I mean?
I was so excited. Like I started hearing interviews with Senator Ben Sasse out of Nebraska, and he was the most prominent never Trumper. And I was hoping this is the straw that breaks the camel's back. He could easily win again in Nebraska. He just leaves the Republican Party. Come on. And then,
I mean, they're getting death threats and stuff he probably wasn't even admitting to. I just think that we have to galvanize your group, the young people, Gen Z, that is critical.
oh, we're just disappointed.
But you can be disappointed in 23. You know what I mean?
We all voted for Biden a lot because of what was promised.
Right.
And I think he overpromised. And I am still convinced to this day that if on, let's say, October 15th, Biden says, all right, we found a way to cancel $10,000 of everyone's student debt, and we're doing that now, the Democrats would retain control of both chambers and everything. Because like there was some poll that came out where after Biden announced that he was not doing anything about student debt, or he was only doing a sliver of something, his approval rating among us drops like 30 points.
Right. I think he's going to go back. He's going to renege on that.
Yeah.
There's no question. No, if he wants to see the light of day, yeah. I mean, it's unusual how everybody just doesn't, that Democrats in particular don't see the urgency in doing those kind of things, that he could just do he can just do what are those things called?
Executive order.
Executive order. Yeah, it's weird. Makes no sense.
It's a constant refusal to, like, I don't want to say forgo the process, but it's treating the process as more important as the people.
Yeah. Listen, the reality is these power people, from Trump to Biden to all of them, if you want to keep power, if that's what you like, you have to do what's going to keep you there.
Yeah.
So I'm starting this thing that it's like, in Vanity Fair magazine at the back page, they have the Proust questionnaire.
Yeah, of course.
So mine is the move over Proust questionnaire. So I'm just doing a few, it's just like to change the topic of
All right.
Just
Of being sad.
because we both know that we're right. Anyway. So if you would like, if you were to have coffee with anyone dead or alive, who would you like to have coffee with?
I think I would want to have coffee with Freddie Mercury.
Really?
I just want to experience all of that.
He was a character for sure. If you became president today and could implement only one executive order, what would it be? You're the president of the United States, not of Zev Burton only.
There's never going to be a president.
Yeah, never say never too. 3,220.
We'll always be chief of staff or secretary of state.
You can now make this blah, blah, blah.
I think the executive order would be instituting a carbon tax or something with regards to the environment.
Oh, that's good. If you could unalive one person in the GOP, who would it be?
Is that save them from the GOP or?
No, it's like, yeah, it's like remove.
I think I would like to see Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, that's mine for sure.
It's time.
What are the top 3 movies that you most loved or enjoy? I know it's a hard to pick 3, but 3 movies that are on your top list.
Moneyball and The Breakfast Club are always 1 and 2 for me.
Oh, cool. I love The Breakfast Club.
It's my favorite movie of all time. And I think at number 3, Kingsman, the Kingsman series.
Okay. Top 3 TV shows that you binged.
I binged Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which was unbelievable. I've been into Superstore lately. I don't know why. And then because I am my age, The Office.
Okay. What's your favorite protest song?
My favorite protest song gotta be All Right by Kendrick Lamar.
Okay, bowl and spoon or plate and fork? For the rest of your life, you only could have if for the rest of your life you could only have a bowl and a spoon or a plate and a fork.
Who comes up with these?
Me.
I mean, definitely bowl and a spoon. There's no question about it. You can't have matzo ball soup with a fork.
All right, no. I mean, it's a lot of people that not every. I'm on your team on that one. If you only had one thing to say, I won't be silent about for the rest of your life. In other words, you can only support and defend one thing. What would it be?
I won't be silent about, I think, the future.
All right, be good. I'll speak to
thank
you
you
soon.
very much.
Thank you. Happy New Year.